the untold story of America's tankers in World War II. They called them the steel beasts of freedom, men inside thunderous machines of metal and might, carving their path through the fires of World War II. They weren't pilots or sailors. They were tankers, the armored fists of the American Army, rolling across deserts, villages, and shattered cities. But behind every victory was a cost of courage, of fear, and sometimes of seeing their own steel turned against them. This is the story of America's tankers and the forgotten fate of those captured machines that once bore their flag. The Armored Awakening. When America entered the war, its armored core was still finding its feet. The Germans had their Tigers and Panthers, beasts of precision and power. The Americans had the M4 Sherman, fast, reliable, but lightly armored. Crews joked grimly that the Sherman was a good tank as long as you're not inside it when it gets hit. But the Sherman had something no other tank could match: numbers. America didn't build tanks for duels. It built them for victory. And soon those steel beasts rolled into battle. North Africa, trial by fire. In the scorching sands of Tunisia, American tankers met their first true test: the Africa Corps. At Kasserine Pass, Rommel's veterans tore through the green American lines. The desert floor became a graveyard of burning Shermans. Some were destroyed, others were captured. For the first time, the Germans studied American armor up close. They repaired damaged Shermans, repainted them with black crosses, and turned them against their former owners. They called them Beutepanzers, captured tanks. And in the chaos of battle, many American crews were stunned to see their own machines firing back at them. It was a cruel twist, fighting not just the enemy, but the ghost of your own steel. Patton's revenge, but the Americans learned fast. General George S. Patton took command, transforming the armored forces into an unstoppable machine. He drilled his men hard, teaching them mobility, speed, and the will to attack first and hardest. The Shermans returned the favor in Sicily, blasting through German lines with fury. And when captured American tanks were spotted among enemy units, Patton's orders were simple: if it moves and it's not flying the flag, destroy it. By the time North Africa and Sicily were won, the tankers' confidence had been forged in fire. Italy, the hard road north. In Italy, tanks faced new enemies: mud, mountains, and ambushes. The narrow streets of towns like Cassino turned every corner into a trap. Tankers fought alongside infantry, clearing bunkers and smashing stone walls to open paths forward. But in the hills of Italy, the Germans still used captured Shermans, now marked with Balkenkreuz hidden in ambushes. The Americans quickly learned to check silhouettes carefully. Sometimes the familiar rounded turret in the distance wasn't friendly. It was a deadly game of recognition. A single mistake could turn an ally into an enemy. Normandy. Steel in the hedgerows. D-Day. The greatest amphibious invasion in history. Sherman tanks rolled ashore behind the infantry, many of them modified to swim or breach obstacles. The beaches were chaos, fire, smoke, and the endless roar of engines. But in Normandy's countryside, the battle turned personal. German ambushers waited in the hedgerows, hidden behind centuries-old earthen walls. Tankers welded steel prongs to the front of their tanks. Rhino tanks to burst through the obstacles and strike first. In one haunting moment near St. Lo, American crews stumbled upon a captured Sherman, now camouflaged in German markings. It had been used to lure U.S. tanks into an ambush before being destroyed by its own kind. To the tankers, it was a symbol that war could twist even the tools of freedom into instruments of death. The frozen inferno, the Battle of the Bulge. Then came the winter of 1944. The forests of Belgium fell silent before erupting in fire. Hitler's last gamble, the Battle of the Bulge. Snow blinded the gunners, engines froze, and supplies ran thin. Yet the tankers fought on, outnumbered, outgunned, but never out of will. During this desperate campaign, another ghost returned. Operation Greif. German commandos disguised in American uniforms used captured Shermans, jeeps, and trucks to spread chaos behind Allied lines. They infiltrated towns, misdirected convoys, and ambushed unsuspecting American units. It became nearly impossible to know who was friend or foe. Every checkpoint became a tense standoff, every tank silhouette in the fog, a question of life or death. But even amid confusion, courage held. The 4th and 7th Armored Divisions fought tooth and nail at Bastogne, saving the 101st Airborne from annihilation. Steel met steel in the snow, and freedom held the line. Into the heart of the Reich. By 1945, American tanks thundered through Germany itself. From the Rhine to the Ruhr, they crushed resistance and liberated villages still bearing Nazi flags. In the chaos of retreat, German troops reused every captured Sherman they could, sometimes welding on extra armor plates or swapping out guns. But now it didn't matter. The tide had turned. In the streets of Cologne, a Sherman from the 3rd Armored Division faced a Panther in one of the most famous tank duels ever filmed. One shot, one explosion, one victory that symbolized the entire war of armor. Courage versus engineering, heart versus steel. The final silence. When the guns fell silent in May 1945, thousands of Shermans stood across Europe. Many battered, many burned, some still wearing the black crosses of the enemy. They had fought on both sides, but the spirit of the men inside them belonged to one, the American tanker, the man who faced tigers and panthers without flinching, who drove through mud, fear, and fire to free a continent. They returned home quietly. Most never spoke of what they saw or what they lost, but in the thunder of every modern tank engine, their spirit lives on. Legacy of the Steel Beasts. Today, the mighty M1 Abrams bears the name of one of those heroes, General Creighton Abrams, who led his Sherman crews through Europe. The tanker's creed remains the same. Move fast, strike hard, and never back down. From the deserts of Africa to the forests of Europe, from tanks captured by the enemy to tanks that liberated nations, the story of America's armor is not one of machines. It's the story of men. Men who fought inside furnaces of steel and came out legends. Closing. They were the Iron Knights of a new world. Farm boys, mechanics, factory workers, who climbed into metal beasts and rolled through history. So when you hear the echo of treads, remember the hands that once gripped those controls, the hearts that beat inside those iron hulls, and the courage that turned cold steel into freedom's fire. They were the tankers of World War II, and their steel still thunders through time.